Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday to Sunday Football Podcast. I am Paul Perdichizzi, and thank you for joining me. As always, the NFL Combine is in the books. Day 4 has just finished wrapping up. It was the offensive linemen and the running backs took to the field today to wrap out the next part of the pre-draft process, which is the 2023 NFL Combine. 4 days up, 4 days down. Next wave is the pro days, the final phase of the pre-draft process, the All-Star game circuit in the books, the combine in the books. Tonight, instant reactions to what we saw on day 4 of the NFL combine. I will start by saying this. I feel like of all the days, there was the least to talk about from today's class, whether it was the things we expected to happen played out. There weren't a lot of surprises, mostly people checking boxes. I didn't think anything really stood out dramatically one way or the other. So it might be a little bit of a shorter show. We'll go through, we'll just do it in the way that it was on the show today, which started with the offensive lineman. Okay. Uh, so at the offensive lineman, first group, not a lot really checked, not a lot really surprised me. Steve Avila at a TCU. He had official 40 time of 5.21. He's going to be a guy who's going to go in the first or second round. One of the better offensive guard, offensive center prospects in this draft class. I thought he looked good in the drills. So I thought Avila, stood out. Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse, he did not do the 40, but he did jump a 30.5 on the vert, 8.7 on the Broadway. Looked really good in the on-field drills. I think he is ticketed for somewhere in round 2. Braden Daniels out of Utah. Daniel Jeremiah was hyping him up a little bit during the event. His official 40 time was a 4.99. He had a 30.5 vert and a 9.1 broad. So impressive by a guy like Braden Daniels, who I think is in that early day 3 mix where he'll probably be ticketed. Jalen Duncan, very athletic at 6'5", 306 pounds. He ran a 5.1 40 with a 1.7 10-yard split. He had a good vertical and a good broad as well. He ended up pulling out due to a little bit of an injury on the on-field drills, so we didn't get to see him, finish the day after his 40-yard dash. The big winner from the first group of offensive linemen was clearly Blake Freeland out of BYU. He's the 6'7", 12 height, 302 pounds. He ran a 4.96 40-yard dash. He jumped an incredible 37 on the vert and a 10 broad. While there are some question marks about Freeland in terms of, a little inconsistent in terms of run support, playing with better leverage, the athletic factors make him a really intriguing prospect. I think he's going somewhere on day 2. We're going to see a little early run, obviously, in round 1, like we always do of the tackles, but I think Freeland will be one of the more intriguing tackles that come off the board on day 2. Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma, 6'4", 315 pounds. He ran an official 4.98 40 with a 1.77 10-yard split. Harrison is another guy. Some people really love him, think late round 1. Other people think more round 3. I think he settles in somewhere on day 2. Tough to peg right now, whether it's round 2 or more of round 3. Broderick Jones out of Georgia, 6'5", 311 pounds. He ran his official 40 time in 4.97. He had a 30-inch vert, 9 on the broad. Broderick Jones, really impressive performance. We know he's going to be, if not the first, the second offensive lineman taken in the NFL draft. He's a plug-and-play starting left tackle. Really good athleticism that stands out. It was interesting to see DeJuan Jones perform. Obviously, the rare specimen, 6'8", 374 pounds. The length at 36 3/8 is just insane. He actually showed functional movement skills running the 40 in 5.35 seconds. At that size, I think that's pretty remarkable. He's a plug-and-play right tackle. The power, the play strength, the frame, the length. It'll be interesting to see how he handles speed rushers. But this is a guy who is going to go somewhere, probably round 2, and is going to be immediately be asked to be a starting right tackle in this league sooner rather than later and solidify the right side of somebody's line. Cody Mach out of North Dakota State. He checked in at 6'5", 302 pounds. He ran the 40 in 5.08 seconds with a 1.79 10-yard split. Really athletic player, but more about his play strength, toughness, and physicality. That is how he's going to make his living at the next level. If he doesn't play tackle, he's going to kick inside to offensive guard. Jordan McFadden out of Clemson, really impressive day at 6'2", 303 pounds. He's definitely a little bit undersized, but he ran a 4.99 40 with a 1.74 10-yard split. You're going to want him in a zone scheme, move him, pulling. That's where he's going to be at his best. So Jordan McFadden showed off that skill set for sure. Next up, let's talk about John Michael Schmidt. Not going to be a guy who was a great tester. He came in at 6'3", 301 pounds. His 40 time was, rather pedestrian at 5.35, but just, I think, technically sound, gap, zone, whatever you want, play strength, toughness, physicality. I think John Michael Schmidt proved down at the Senior Bowl what type of competitor he is, what type of player he is. I think he's still taking it for round 2, one of the top center prospects in the class. Peter Skonkowski out of Northwestern. It's going to be, if it's not Broderick Jones, it's going to be Skoronski as the first offensive lineman taken. The length is going to probably have some people thinking he's a guard. A lot of people seem to think good offensive tackle prospect, all pro guard prospect. So we'll see. It's kind of like the Zach Martin thing from years ago. So Skoronski, he checked in at 6'4", 313 pounds. He ran the 40 in 5.16 seconds, 1.75 10-yard split. Good vert, though, 34.5, 97 on the broad. Look really good out there. So he and Broderick Jones, I think, are locked in as the first 2 that we're going to see come off the board. Andrew Vores at a USC suffered an injury during the on-field drills. That's unfortunate. It seemed pretty serious, but we have not got any word on the severity of it. Joe Tippmann, I was excited to see him. He didn't partake in anything. He's going to wait to his pro day. Darnell Wright, for a guy whose game is built on speed. For a guy whose game is built on play strength and physicality and toughness and his length. He had a 5.01 40-yard dash time. Really impressive for a guy his size and frame, especially when that is not how he really wins in terms of his strengths of his game. So I thought that was a good performance by Darnell Wright. I think he's locked in late round 1. If he doesn't go late round 1, early round 2, he will be getting the call. So I don't think anything crazy stood out at the offensive lineman. We didn't have any elite level athletes like we've had in the past. We've had some really good athletes. Broderick Jones, really good athlete. A couple other guys, really good athletes. Blake Freeland was probably the biggest athletic freak that we had there based on those verts and the jumps and the 6'7". But we knew he was going to be really athletic. We knew Broderick Jones was going to be really athletic. So I think the guys who we like in terms of round 1 or day 2 when it comes to Freeland, like we knew they were going to be good athletic testers. We know their athleticism. We saw it on their film. It kind of translated to the combine. So I don't think a lot really changed. Maybe sorting some ties and some tiebreakers, but I think the offensive line kind of was ho-hum in terms of what we expected. I don't think there was anything too unexpected that makes you like, oh, I got to go back and watch some film. I just didn't think that at all. So the offensive line didn't see, a lot stand out that was surprising. If we take this over to the running backs, the first thing I'll say about the running backs is very, very disappointed with just how few running backs worked out here at the NFL Combine. Really good players who I thought we were going to test really well. I'm sure they had their reasons. Maybe it was injury and I didn't hear. Obviously, I was busy tweeting the whole week, the whole 4 days of the Combine, so I could easily have missed some stuff. But, I'll start with some guys who didn't perform. Israel Abaconda out of Pittsburgh, I thought was going to blow up the Combine. He didn't do the 40. He didn't do the jumps. So now we got to wait to his pro day. Another guy who we didn't get a chance to see do much, down there. Eric Gray didn't do the 40. He worked out on the on-field. He had a good vert, good broad. I'll come back to him in a second. We didn't see Dwayne McBride do anything. We didn't see Sean Tucker do anything. Kendra Miller did the did the jumps, but did not do the 40. I was hoping to kind of see him in terms of what his athletic testing was. I'm sorry, he didn't do the jumps. So he didn't do the jumps. He didn't do anything. So he came in, at 5'11", 215. I was excited to see him perform. He did not do anything. Ty Spears, great jumps, but did not take part in the 40. Like I said, Sean Tucker and also Deuce Vaughn didn't do the 40 either, did the other stuff. And then it's becoming more and more commonplace that only one or two or three people even do the 20-yard shuttle in the free cone. This year, there was two people that currently we have numbers for, unless NFL Network, NFL.com just hasn't put them out yet. So that's a little on the disappointing side as well. From the guys who ran the 40, let's talk about some interesting things that stuck out. Devin A-Chain did what we expected. He ran fast. 4.32. You might even say, it was slightly disappointing because we thought he was going to be sub 4.48, but we're talking about blazing fast. One of the biggest winners was Chase Brown, and I knew this was going to happen. I kind of said post Senior Bowl that I know the reports were bad down there, but this is a guy who's going to generate buzz at the combine. He was on Bruce Feldman's freak list last year, and he did not disappoint. Checked in at 5'9", 209 pounds. He ran a 4.43 40, at a 1.53 10-yard split, 40 inch on the vert, 10.7 on the broad jump. Just tremendous athletic testing from Chase Brown. I think he squarely pushes himself back in the round 3, round 4 mix for sure. Zach Charbonnet, I got to be honest with you, I think the times were really solid for him. His official was 4.53 with a 1.5 10-yard split, 37 on the vert, 10.2 on the broad. So he tested out, I think, as a good athlete. I was more worried that he was maybe average at best. So I think that's big for Charbonnet, locks him into that late round 2, somewhere to round 3, even though I'm not as big of a fan of him as others. That athletic testing combined with the production, the size, the play strength, I think best case scenario for him is DeMarco Murray, and I kind of get it. I think similar in terms of their upright running style, but I thought Charbonnet did well for himself today. Zach Evans was the other guy who did nothing. Disappointed in that. I really wanted to see him in terms of his 40, the jumps, the explosiveness. RB2 for most people in this class. Jahmyr Gibbs did partake. He ran a 4.36 40. He did the vert 33.5, did not do the broad jump. Eric Gray, I mentioned him before. While he didn't do the 40, looked good in the drills. The vert was 33.5. Sorry, the vert was 37.5 and 9.10 broad. I think Eric Gray is a guy that we're going to hear a lot more buzz generating in the next, month and a half or so. I think he'll put on a performance at his pro day when he has it. I think Gray's the guy who's going to be a riser in this process. One of the biggest winners, we talked about Chase Brown being a winner. Another big winner was Evan Hull out of Northwestern. He was at the Senior Bowl, mid-January, late January. Evan Hull was 5'10", 209 pounds. He ran an official 4.47 with a 1.53 10-yard split. He had a 37-inch vert, 10.3 broad. Really impressive performance by Evan Hull. Is going to work his way onto the field as a guy who's good in pass protection, really good receiving skills. That is going to find his way onto a roster. Going to be a core special teamer, and then see how that evolves and grows. But really good testing day for Evan Hull. Rayshon Johnson checked in at 6 feet, 219 pounds. He ran a 4.58 official 40 with a 1.52 10-yard split. Really impressive. Standing down, it was the second best 10-yard split of any of the running backs who performed it. 31.5 on the vert, 10.2 on the broad. So really good numbers for Johnson, showing that he's got above average to good athleticism. You combine that with the play strength, the toughness, the physicality, the pass protection, the receiving abilities, really well balanced all around running back. That really intrigues me. Kenny McIntosh, I kind of warned people not to expect this guy to be like a fast guy, or people were mistaking him as like a jutter, shiftier. That's just not his game. He's a really, really good pass catching running back, but checked in with a 4.63 40. Like, that's not all that surprising. 4.62. Not all that surprising. When you watch him play, I like him. I really like his receiving capabilities, but not a guy who's going to test out as a good or very good athlete. And I think that kind of, transpired at the combine. Keaton Mitchell, I knew he was going to run fast. 4.38 40 was flying. 38 on the vert, 10.6 on the broad jump. Very impressive performance from Keaton Mitchell. I think you'll start hearing some round 4, round 5 buzz on him. Deneric Prince out of Tulsa, 5'11", 216 pounds. He ran a 4.4140, had a good vert at 35.5 and broad at 10.4. Really good athletic testing around the board there for Deneric Prince. Bijan Robinson checked the boxes. He needed to. 5'11", 215 pounds, 4.4640, 37 on the vert, 10.4 on the broad. Bijan Robinson locks himself in to a top 20 pick, I think, round 1. First RB taken. Impressive performance by Brian Robinson. Tyjae Spears, I talked before, his jumps were excellent. I would have loved to see him run the 40. And then Deuce Vaughn did do the jumps, 35.5 on the vert, 9.8 on the broad. Did not do the 40. Would have liked to see him get out there. So when I look at this running back class, Evan Hull tested out as a better athlete. If you were paying close attention and stay on top of Bruce Feldman's freak list, you knew Chase Brown was going to test well, and he did. Bijan tested good. We expected him to. Eric Gray and Tyjae Spears' jumps were good. We expected them to be good. They got explosiveness. Charbonnet maybe tested a tad better athletically than I thought he was. So I thought it was kind of an expected day. I don't think Bigsby might have tested a little bit better. I'm interested to kind of dig into the combine numbers a little bit more, watch the on-field drills again, and kind of help sort out. My running backs continue to be Bijan locked in at 1, Jahmyr Gibbs locked in at 2, Devin Achane locked in at 3, and then I'm not sure, right? There's so many different paths you can go. 4 through, let's say, 12 or 13. So, it'll be something that, by the time I get to my running back, rankings tier show, in a couple of weeks, it'll be interesting to kind of set the stage at where I'm at. And did the combine help me get there? I don't think a lot stood out from the running backs because so many guys didn't check. I wanted to see Abercrombie. I wanted to see Eric Gray. I wanted to see Kendre Miller. Their athletic profiles mix compared to Zach Charbonnet, compared to Tank Bigsby, compared to Zach Evans. And so many of these guys just didn't perform that it was a little disappointing in that regards. But we know it's a deep class. We know it's a strong class. It's going to be fun to kind of watch the rest of the pre-draft process play itself out in terms of what we're hearing and stuff. Who starts generating buzz from the running back group. But again, I thought it was pretty lackluster. For me, there's a clear top 3, and then I think it opens up. I think a lot of people have Charbonnet in either that 4th or 5th spot, and it's hard to argue with that. He's a little bit further down the ranks for me. But he came in, tested better athlete than we gave him credit for. And we already know the play strength, physicality, toughness, all that stuff, footwork for a bigger guy is there. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how the dust settles on this running back position. Just like at the top of the tight end board, really fascinating for sure. But the running back is definitely going to be one to follow closely. So there it is, guys. Instant reactions to all 4 days, every positional group, offense, defense, offensive line, from the NFL Combine. I hope that you've been enjoying these instant reaction shows. If you're new and you're checking out Saturday, Sunday for the first time, usually our episodes are more like 45 minutes to like an hour and 15 minutes. These instant reaction pods usually stay in the 20 to 25 minute range. We did one for each night of the NFL draft. Make sure you check it out wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you're enjoying the content, please get over to the website. SS Football is the fastest and quickest way to get there. Check on the premium content tab, and for $9.99, you get access to all of our premium notebooks. You get the scouting notebook, which has all our deep scouting reports on over 100 offensive skill players. You get our rankings notebook, which has our draft rankings. It'll have our dynasty rookie rankings post-draft. It's going to have my tiered rankings are on the verge of being completed. It has last year's rookies from a dynasty perspective ranked, and then also this positional dynasty rankings as well. And then in April, you get the draft projections notebook. If you enjoyed my coverage during the combine on Twitter, basically that sets the stage for what I use to build the draft projections notebook. Tabs for every position, offense and defense, over 400 players in the draft projections notebook, snapshot of how they win, couple developmental or concerning areas. If you're going to really pigeonhole a couple, their combine testing numbers will be in there. And then they'll be ranked by the order in which we expect it to come off the board based on everything we are hearing and listening. So it is the best way to support us and help us continue to do what we're doing. Thanks for all the new followers on Twitter, all the people who constantly showed me support, continuing to show me support during this NFL Combine. So I appreciate that. Pushing some more eyeballs my way. Very grateful and appreciative of that. So, on behalf of our sound tech engineer, David Nakano, and myself, thank you for joining us. I look forward next time taking you from Saturday to Sunday.